I recently finished this tiny little sketchbook, and I thought it would be fun to give you a little tour of the pages. It's a Stillman and Byrne Zeta series, so the paper's super thick, and I used all sorts of different media, not just ballpoint, but ink and some colored pencil too. So let's just jump right in and I'll show you all the pages and tell you about my process. So this is a Stillman and Byrne Zeta series sketchbook. I think I've already lost the belly band. I kept it for a long time, but it's like a 3x5, so it's really small, and I've never really worked in this format before, so this was fun for me. The paper in this is super, super smooth and thick. I started this as I marked it here in November of 25, and I just finished it in February. I never work in order, so you'll see I jump around. Like, I never really start the sketchbook. I usually start in the middle sometimes just because it feels easier than starting on the first page. But you can see how I've progressed and worked through many different things. So here's an early sketch from December, and I've just used a blue ballpoint. Most likely this was one of my Parker pens. I will link that. It's a pen that I use often. It was fun to try out this really long, skinny format. And, I've got my signature little, like, wavy marks here. And then you can see where I started the sketch with just some doodles in the background. I went back and used some Bic crystals a little bit this year. This is from December 7th. So I used a light blue and a black. And I quite like this one. I don't like how these pens, like, they kind of smudge after a time. Yes, Cleo, I'm busy. You can come visit me if you want, though. That's my cat in the background. You can see it here. The magenta Bic really bleeds through even this thick paper and then kind of transfers. So this is, I guess if I really cared about it, I would have maybe sprayed this with a fixative afterwards. This is from December 17th of 25. I love this one. I love the way it turned out, though. This is magenta ink with, I think I might use black again. Yep. I love the play of the negative and the positive space. Here's one from the end of November. You can see these floral forms always show up in my work, as same with these little stripes. I use that a lot. I love the play of, like, the organic versus the geometric little lines. Here's another one from December. This is a blue pen. It's like an indigo blue pen. It is, I want to say, a Papermate. I think I have it. Let's see if I can find it. It's a Papermate pen, and I've never found it. Yep, it is Papermate Profile. These are great pens. They're really thick, and they don't bleed very much. This is a nice pen. I recommend this one a lot. And here on Christmas Day, I made this, or at least I finished it. I usually date them when I finish the drawing. And here's one where I used green and a gold. Yes, Bic Crystal has a gold. It's actually quite nice. I can always kind of tell when I'm in a good mood too. So here's another one this is December 27th. And I feel like I can tell I was relaxed because the marks are really fine. Everything's really there's a daintiness to it. I love the way that the crosshatch turned out in this one. It's one of my favorites. Here's where I started to go a little mixed media. This one is from January 4th. I did this whole drawing in black pen. I used my black Parker pen, refillable Parker pen. And I knew this one right away. Like, I was just itching to do some paint. So I went in with some yellow acrylic ink and just painted on top. And I loved the way it turned out. I think I experimented here. I think this is yellow Prismacolor too. I decided not to take it any further because I was just going to leave it like that. But I didn't want to mix colors. I just wanted to paint. And this was really gratifying. I think I have a reel with this one in it. Here's New Year's Eve, back to just some pen. Blue pen. This is another one, January 3rd, I used the Bix, and I think I used the Papermate Profile for the dark blue, maybe in here, or maybe that's brown. Actually, I think it's brown. I think I used a brown Bic crystal. And this light blue, let's see if I have one in here. Yep, I do. It was this color. I like this color combination. I love this one again. I love the floral forms. I like the play of the open spaces, the geometric lines, and the warmer brown with the cooler blue color. Here's another one I painted. I think I might have done this at the same time I did the other spread. Yeah, January 4th, probably so. So I just used that yellow paint and painted back into this one. I love the way this one turned out. This was January 11th. So I really liked this part, and I had something else here that I wasn't super fond of, so I just painted over it with acrylic ink and then worked on top. And I used a Sakura, Jelly Roll pen to do those white elements, and I love the way that looks. So there will be more of that showing up in my work for sure. I also then went back over the top with some black ballpoint. That's why I like working with acrylic ink, because you can work on top quite easily. I went a little nuts in the background with this one with the gel pen. I just couldn't stop. It's just fun and relaxing to create lines, just straight lines over and over again. And it is a nice play against these leafy shapes in the foreground. That's really fun. January 18th, this one's just all black. I thought about painting this one, but I just liked it, and I just wanted to leave this as is. So here we jump, you can see, this is February, and you can see now, I was like, I don't know, I can tell I was a little anxious in these drawings, or maybe just really energetic, but I just decided it was time to let myself really play. So I did these really loose sketches, and then I just colored with colored pencil with Prismacolors. And so I didn't do a lot. There's not a lot of thought in these. There's not a lot of worry for how they turn out. I just wanted to play and make marks. And so, I don't know, they're not my favorite, but they were fun to make. Here's another one I did with colored pencil. I did the whole drawing with black ink, and then I went back in with Prismacolors and worked in sort of a pointless technique, where I was just taking little strokes of the Prismacolor pencils to create these transitions from dark to light. I didn't date this one, but it's done now. I'm not going to go back into it, but I was working on this when the Chicago Bears were in their playoff push. My family is big Chicago Bears fans. I grew up in Rockford, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, and I started this drawing during that thing. I don't know, I got bored with it, but I don't know, it's kind of fun like this. Here's some more like looser sketches I did towards the end of January. I don't know, you can tell it's kind of just a little bit more messy and frenetic, and that's okay. Not everything has to be a finished work of art, right? It's just a sketchbook. And here's some more play with Prismacolor pencils. I was really trying to challenge myself to use colors I don't normally use, especially like this mauve color. That's not a me color, but I kind of like it with these greens. January 28th. I love this one. I guess I think I must have done it this way, but I just love this. There's just a real energy and joy in this piece, a lot of scribble, which I enjoy. It looks different than my other work, but I like all these little tiny marks in here. And I love the the crosshatch, and the color scheme. Again, I used, like, this orange is not a me color, but these three together, like, I love this color combination now. That was a really fun experiment. Here's another even looser, more frenetic one around the same time, January 30th. Purple, not a color I use often. Kind of like it here. This is one of the last things I did. This was just a plain white spread, and I was at my friend's house in her art painting studio. I think I shared that, I've shared some of this with my newsletter. So I was at her house, and she was working on a new painting, and I just pulled out the sketchbook, and I worked with some acrylic inks on top, and then a little bit of white gel pen. Just experimenting. I didn't really care how this one turned out. It's a little awkward and weird, but I love the color, and I love these little fun marks. Here's another really loose one that I colored in with some colored pencils. Maybe not super finished, but it's okay. It was an experiment. This is another one I just colored in my friend's studio. So this is a yellow green that I've used often, but this one has a little bit of a sheen to it. And I just bought another color like this. I bought some of this pearlescent volcano red, and I can't wait to play with this. I think this is going to be super fun. I really like the way that the ink turned out on this one. It flows really nicely and doesn't necessarily take away from the drawing. And this one's just very me, and it's a very me color scheme. Again, it's got all my signature marks. It's got these flowing, kind of like braided textures. It's got these organic sort of floral shapes and these little stripy straight lines as accents. And there you go. That's the end of my little sketchbook. Well, that was fun. I hope you enjoyed that little tour of my sketchbook and got some insight into my practice. I will link all of the materials that I talked about in this video in the caption. I just bought another little sketchbook, the same size, except the vertical format, to take with me to Italy. So I'm excited to do some more. Take care.